Hello, I'm going to talk about the art PowerPoint just for a few minutes here. This is on obviously in your learning module for the art module. So let's take a real quick look here at crafts versus real art. Crafts are, what we often see. When you walk down the hall and you see 20 little handprints that are decorated in feathers and look like turkeys, that's a craft. On it, there's nothing art about it. It's a craft because everybody's basically doing exactly the same thing. The teacher is the one that's focused on showing them how to do it. All the materials are based on helping them achieve a real specific outcome. Art, on the other hand, is highly subjective. Everyone creates something completely different. The teacher's going to provide the materials, but the children use their own ideas on how to apply those materials. And you don't give them a how-to on how to do it. If you say, today we're going to paint a turkey, or we're going to construct a turkey, give them a whole bunch of materials and see what turkeys you get, but they're all going to look different. Okay, so there we go. Just didn't want anyone to confuse crafts with arts because they're so different. The other thing I really want to point out is that there are stages to art. I don't think our textbook does a really good job on this, so that's why this PowerPoint is important. These are questions that I have seen on the OSAT, where they give you specific stages of art development and then have a bunch of multiple choice underneath saying, well, what can you see in this stage? So the first stage is the scribble stage. And this is usually begins between 2 and 4, and they're scribbling. They grab the big crayon and it just one big scribble. They still don't have clear idea of handedness. They may do it with their right hand one day, left hand the other day, both hands the next day. It's very open and very fluid. Usually by the time they're 3 or 4, they can tell you what they're drawing. They have a very clear idea, and they might name their drawing. And eventually those scribbles become much more controlled. So here we see random marks. These are just random marks. Any, 2-year-old, 3-year-old would make these scribbles. They become a little more controlled. And then from there, they go into the beginning representational stage. This stage is very fluid again. You see some children that are 3 to 4 already entering this stage. You might see some 4s, 5s, and 6s still in this stage. Extremely fluid. They might have a favorite color, and they draw what we call the tadpole people. Tadpole people are the big heads with the stick arms. Let me show you. This is a tadpole person. You got the big head, got the little stick legs. You might have arms, you might not have arms, but they're tadpole drawings. So that's what people are talking about. They're floating in space. There's no ground for them to walk on. There's no grassy surface, nothing. They're hanging out there in the world. And oftentimes you see what we call X-ray drawings, where you can see through people's clothing. Sometimes children that have a parent that's expecting a child, for instance, will draw a tadpole person with a baby in the middle. And it's the X-ray drawing is what we call that. Okay, so in the beginning representational stage, oftentimes you might have shapes, specific shapes. You can see a heart here, and you can also see letters. This child, Shannon, wrote their name right here. So also part of that stage. And here they are, the tadpole people floating in the air there. No baseline. Remember that. Beginning representational, no baseline. This is a pretty advanced beginning representational drawing because you can see that this is a child and they're hanging from the monkey bars. They're probably out on the playground. Here's some swings. I see an animal and a house and a sun, but they're all floating out there in the air. No baseline for beginning representational. This is another beginning representational. This child named their drawing Hansel and Gretel. And my guess is a little boy is the one that drew this picture, because the boy here is extremely clearly portrayed. Take a look. Okay. Then we go into the representational. By the time they advance to that, they're probably in first and second grade. They have a more clear idea of what they are putting down. Their color choices are rather stereotypical. They'll have the yellow sun, they'll have the green grass and some blue clouds. And most important, they've got a baseline. They actually put their people and houses and animals and trees down on the base. No more floating in the air, and no more tadpoles either. They're more proportional now. So take a look at this. This is typical for representational, where they're all standing on the ground, and you can see that the father figure is bigger than the children. So it is proportional. This is another representational. You can see there's baseline. That's the difference between the beginning representational and the representational. So here we have that, and the birds are all in the sky, and the clouds are in the sky, and the flowers are all on the ground. So here we have that. Here's another representational. Again, look for that baseline. It is your clear idea of what's going on. And then right around 9 years old, sometime between third and fourth grade, they begin to advance to realism. And it's more detailed. They add some moving elements. They might add some three-dimensional elements. And take a look at this house. You can see it's really three-dimensional and moving. You see someone jumping off the diving board, and the way they have the stairs and the way they have the fence angled, it's three-dimensional. And the same thing with the barnyard. It's definitely three-dimensional. This is realism as well. I mean, this is really good pictures. Definitely three-dimensional. So this is when you're in my class, I have you sort all kinds of pictures. We're going to skip through here. Okay. The next thing I want to point out, oh, and the other thing I want to talk about with these stages of art development, when you're in the classroom, you're not thinking, oh, what stage is this child in art development? But here's the thing, you need to know what's kind of expected at particular ages, because when it doesn't happen is when there's a concern. Say, for instance, you have a child in third grade that's still scribbling, just plain old scribble, scribble, scribble. That is a clue that there's something else going on. That's just one thing then that you're going to note down as you're looking at that child's overall performance, is the child is still scribbling rather than doing anything else with their art. So know what's expected. Don't stick too close to the ages because it's very fluid, but still know what's basically expected at particular ages. So if you do not see it, that's something else that you can add to your watch list to see what's going on with the child. Okay, then the other things and things that you really need to know basically what the words mean is the elements of art, because actually I have seen this on the OSAT as well. So know what these mean. Line is just the path that a point takes through space. Horizontal lines are considered very restful. Vertical lines are the ones that are reaching. Diagonal lines tend to be disturbing, they say. Lines can convey emotion, excitement, calmness. Constructive lines. Shapes are either geometric or organic. You need to know the difference. Organic are the ones that are more complicated and no two sides are the same, found in nature. And these are smooth, even, measurable edges. Know the difference between geometric and organic. Form, three-dimensional or two-dimensional. Know that. Value is the lightness or darkness of a color. Please know that. And then you have your primary colors. Colors sometimes evoke emotion, green with envy, tickled pink, blue and sad. Color temperatures are warm and cool. Texture, implied texture, space. And there you have it. Just a little bit of a review of art that was not in the textbook. I wanted to add that because some of this has been on the OSAT in the past, and I wanted to make sure that you had a good preparation. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.